Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. I am joined by my co-host and best friend D-Lo, and we are part of my wisdom. Today we got some really, really juicy topics to talk about today. So we're just gonna go ahead and hop on into it, man. Delon, how you feeling on this beautiful Sunday, bro?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. Everything's wonderful. Kids are doing well. Wife doing well. Enjoyed some time with them today. Just doing real good, man. Happy to be on here as always with you. I told you last time, man. I appreciate you, but yeah, ready to get
Listen,
into it.
man.
Have a good conversation about what we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to be interesting if people want to hear it.
For sure, man. Today, man, of course, me and my daughter, me and Sam, we always do the Sunday brunch and go out and have a good time. Go to the mall and just kind of window shop. She like doing that, and she likes spending my money too. Always doing that
Yeah.
too. But so
What
we
daughter
always
does
have
it?
a good. Exactly. So me and Sam just had a good time. Got her a couple things for her volleyball, but we have a good time every Sunday. So I'm ready to get into it as well, man. You know, it's a good, beautiful, sunny Sunday in Washington for the first time all week, which is amazing.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and get into it, man. What topics we got today, bro?
Absolutely. So the juicy topics that we have today, first on the docket, you got Coach Prime calls out money games for the HBCUs and the difference in pay that they receive
Mm-hmm.
versus PWI
Mm-hmm.
institutions. Next, we'll talk about the Black Lives Matters leaders being under investigation for stealing money.
Stealing
And
that
then
bread, man.
lastly, we're gonna finish off this podcast talking about the saga, the ongoing saga that is Kim K and Ray J sex tape scandal. So, without further ado, let's
Man.
get right into it, man. So, yeah, Coach
All
Prime
right.
calls out HBCUs, calls out the lack of pay that HBCUs get for playing Power Five schools when
Mm-hmm.
PWI schools of similar size similar gets more for their games for playing Power Five schools. What's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on it, man? Let's talk about it.
So it's been going on for a while, man. Of course, this is what Coach Prime's third season, Coach Sanders' third season coaching at Jackson State.
Yep.
So it's been going on well before now, man. Like this, like I was telling you earlier in the week when we were talking about our topics. I went through this playing at Central,
Mm-hmm.
playing at NCCU, the illustrious NCCU, which is a HBCU out in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina. And when we were transitioning to Division One,
Mm-hmm.
going from CIAA to MEAC, we played 16 of the 64 teams that went to the NCAA tournament that year for basketball in
Okay.
NCAA. So we played teams like Duke. We played teams like Florida, Rutgers, Wake Forest, Davidson when Steph was there,
Okay.
Cal State Northridge, UNC Wilmington, Nebraska. So we played a bunch of teams. We played 16 of the 31 teams that we played that year went to the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since we were transitioning, we were getting those checks. We were getting they were money games because we were
Mm-hmm.
trying to build up the money to go to a bigger conference, get more publicity, get more notoriety, and get more exposure for the athletes in the university. So we were getting these games, and we're getting this money. I think the most money we made that year was when we played Florida, and they were coming off of their back-to-back championships when they had Al Horford, they had Bradley Beal, they had Joakim Noah and them boys.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest money game that we had. I think that was like $500K. This was back in
Okay.
06, 07, 08.
Okay.
And it's still going on today. But like you said, like you were saying, all of these teams that are similar size that are PWIs, if you don't know what that means, predominantly white institutions,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting double the amount, sometimes triple the amount that we get as HBCUs, that we got as
Right.
HBCUs. So that is an issue. And I understand what Coach Prime was saying is that if we're going to go out there and get our butts whipped, man, we might as well reap the benefits from it. because there's no reason why us as HBCUs shouldn't get paid the same as like your Marshalls or your App States or your, you know what I'm saying, those universities like that. So I know how it feels. I was on it firsthand, so I know exactly how it feels.
Yeah, and I think the thing you have to think about there or take a look at is we're talking about Power Five schools. So you mentioned like UNC Wilmington, which isn't a Power Five school. They probably not going to pay you much money to come pay. Maybe it's a in-state school, so they'll probably pay you
Mhm.
maybe 75,000, 100,000 to come play them. I don't know, but I know it's not going to be
Mhm.
anything you wouldn't expect much from them, as you would a Nebraska, a Florida, a Wake Forest. As small as a school as we
Mhm.
were, we somehow have a ton of money. But
Yeah.
you
And the
don't expect
ACC
them
is still considered a Power Five too.
exactly. So yeah, we're part of a Power Five
Mhm.
company, Power Five conference. So
Conference.
those are where you
Mhm.
make your money games, and this is what Coach Prime was referring to when he was talking about HBCUs not receiving the same amount of money that PWIs get for playing similar type schools. So he rattled off a few names of schools
Mhm.
for the PWIs, and I think you mentioned the Marshall, Appalachian State, and what was the other one?
Mhm.
Um,
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern, and then he rattled
Mhm.
off FAMU. He rattled off.
Mhm.
You got to read them to
Alabama
me.
State.
Alabama
Alabama State.
State, hmm
Bethune Cookman. Alabama
Bethune Cookman.
A&M. Yep.
Right, right. And
Mhm.
I think the average payout for the PWI schools was like 1.4 million, and the average payout
Mhm.
for the HBCUs was somewhere around seven. I'm sorry, somewhere around 500,000.
Mhm.
The disparity in
Mhm.
that is crazy, um,
Crazy. Three times the
crazy.
amount, bro. Literally three times the amount.
Right, right. And so for me, I think it's you got to look at it from both sides because first off, before we get into that, I think you have to give Coach Prime his credit and give it up for him because he's in the
Mhm.
process of probably single-handedly keeping or bringing HBCU sports into the mainstream media and using his status to speak up and bring light to the
100%.
disparities that are going on against HBCUs, the treatment that they get, and the
100%.
difference in how other schools are treated. So you have to give it up for
Mhm.
that. And I think there's
For
some
sure.
validity in his statement, a lot of validity in his statement. But again, I think you also have to look at both sides of it. So, first
Mhm.
off, I 100% think that PWIs are taking advantage of HBCUs. Um, and
100%.
why is that? And why is that? Because they know that HBCUs need the money. They know
Mhm.
that um, they know that it'll be an easy win. In most cases, it'll be an easy win.
Most
Obviously,
cases. Most
yeah, most
cases.
cases it'll be an easy win. But Jackson State bringing in the recruits that they have, number one high school recruit last year in all of the nation. They're getting a lot of top caliber players from programs where they didn't quite fit in or something happened. They're deciding at D1
Mhm.
schools, they're deciding to go to Jackson State. So all this talent is accumulating at Jackson State. So maybe in a year or two, it won't be such an easy win. But I mean, in the on the flip side,
Very much so.
Coach Prom has decided not to play any money games this year.
Mhm. And that's
So
true. That's true. Well, he hasn't played. The last one that he played, I think, was 2 years ago. Um, I think it was against Louisiana Monroe, and they ended up
yep,
losing just 7-6. But they were
right.
only paid $300K for that game, and Louisiana Monroe was in a Power Five conference. So he hasn't played one since his first year at Jackson State, and he
Louisiana
refuses to
Monroe's in
play
the
them.
Power Five conference.
I think they're in the Pac-12. Let me look. Let me make sure. Let me make sure.
Nah, I don't think so, but it could be. The conversation. So that's another conversation we probably have to have at another time. Is all this conference realignment and whatnot. I think they're in the Sun Belt or Conference USA or something like that, which wouldn't be a Power Five school.
They're in the Sun Belt. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
so that's not really
But
a
I
Power
guess I
Five
guess
school.
very true. Yeah, but they
Yeah,
did bring that up in the article that I looked at. That's the last game he played against a team that was meant to be a money game for him,
right.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my train of thought is the money games that will get you the dollars that the App States and the Marshalls and Those type of schools we're getting that he was referring to would be those Power Five
Hmm.
schools. So App State played Texas A&M, one of
Texas
the
A&M, that's SEC.
yeah SEC, one of the top tier schools. Period. When it comes to the amount of revenue and money that they
Hmm.
bring in, Marshall
Hmm.
played Notre Dame. Everybody knows about Notre Dame, and
For sure.
who was that third one?
Georgia Southern played Nebraska.
Nebraska, and everybody knows about Nebraska. Who
Hmm.
some of the nicest
Hmm.
fans ever. I don't know how they are now, but when we played Nebraska and they beat the brakes off us, they were like, "Good game." That's unheard of. Like they were a very
It is very much
hospitable.
so. They were nice
Yeah.
though. I see. I played Nebraska in basketball, but I haven't played them in football. Basketball, they were ruthless, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I
Oh
think it's
nah,
because they're right up on you on the court. But
man.
I don't know, bro. It was different in basketball, but football, I can see
Yeah.
how they would be
Not,
a little bit
not to
different.
get off, not to get off subject, but football, they beat the brakes off of us. And their fans were so nice. Hey, you guys come back and play us again. Like we have anything to do
Of
with it, but you
course, they
guys,
said that,
right, right.
right?
You guys come back and play us again. They were just
Right.
so nice. But anyway, yeah. So
Yeah.
Nebraska, those are the Power Five schools. Those are the money games I'm talking about. And
Hmm. Hmm.
the one that he referenced was FAMU coming to North Carolina to play
Yep.
UNC and only receiving
Hmm.
$450,000. UNC is a part of a
Yep.
Power Five. They definitely can
Hmm.
afford to pay FAMU to
1.5.
1.5, at least a million.
Yeah, they can
They can at least pay them that. And in that
for
reference, I
sure.
feel where Coach Prime is coming from. Like this is
Hmm.
the PWIs taking advantage of the flip side of my argument, and I'll let you go in a second. But the flip side of my argument
Hmm.
is
No, you good.
negotiation tactics and skills need to be heightened for these HBCUs. I don't know if it's the the athletic directors or whoever's in charge of signing, getting contracts done, and getting games completed.
Hmm.
Those negotiation skills need to come from them as well. So it's not just the PWIs taking advantage of
Hmm.
HBCUs. It's also a little bit of HBCUs needing to step their game up and demanding and requesting more of themselves
Hmm.
and from these money games that they need, because most times these money games are what helps set their budget for the year.
For sure. For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
So.
And the crazy thing is that like I think, in just to go with your point, I do think that the athletic departments and the ads at these universities, HBCUs, do need to step their negotiation tactics up a little bit. But at the end of the day, honestly, these Power Five schools can look at NCCU, for instance, right? NCCU is asking for $1 million, but they can go down the street and get Winston to play him for 450K. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's kind of hard to negotiate when you got 1,000 HBCUs
Hmm.
and you asking for $1 million when I could just go up the road and go to Norfolk State and they'll play me for 450K. So it's kind
So
of
so
hard to do that. But so what Prime was saying was there should be a standard, not
mhm.
necessarily us negotiating, but there should be a standard to where there's a level of how much we get paid that's between 750 and $1 million for
So
these
kind of like a
HBCUs
collective
because it's
bargaining agreement for HBCUs.
like a CBA for HBCUs because you're not going to sit here and pay Marshall, who's a similar size as Jackson State,
Hmm.
and you're gonna pay me. You're gonna pay Marshall 3 times more. That don't make no sense. Even though Marshall won the game and Jackson State probably just as well could have won it too, but there should be a standard to where these universities, HBCUs in general, are getting paid between 750K or $1 million to go play these games because make it worthwhile.
Hmm.
Make it worth them going down there and getting their spirit diminished, bro. Like you're going. Case in point, when we went and played Florida, bro, we went and played Florida. They had Joe Kim, they had Bradley Bill, they had Al Horford, they had that championship team. We got beat 110-46.
Okay.
And you got your coach telling you in the locker room, trying to get you hype and trying to, telling you that you just as good, this, that, the third. Knowing goddamn well you ain't.
Hmm.
But you got to have that spirit. But you get out there on that court and you playing your heart out and you still getting beat by 70 and you
Right.
only giving us 500K to go back to the crib. That's crazy. Not to mention, especially with football, since it's more of a contact sport than basketball, you might have some of these kids now, number one, getting their pride diminished, but then they
Hmm.
might go out there and get hurt. Now they hurt for the rest of the season, and you ain't making it worthwhile for these kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot more that goes into it that Coach Prime was talking about. Not only that, he also said, and I'm gonna let you take this point, and I'm pretty sure you saw this in the articles that you were looking at. He also said that why should the money that they collect go to the entire university? Why not just stay in the athletic department?
Yeah. So that's always been a question that many coaches or many people in the sports and athletic community at these universities ask is, why does the money always have to be dispersed amongst the schools and then come back to the amongst the university and then come back
Mm-hmm.
to the athletic department? And it's a tough conversation to have because
It's
you
a
know
conversation. It is.
sports is basically a marketing tool for universities. They are, if they're
Mm-hmm.
winning, they're doing well, or the atmosphere is perceived as a good atmosphere, it could bring
Mm-hmm.
students to that school, which then in turn brings in more dollars for the university, and then in turn
Mm-hmm.
brings in more dollars for the athletic department. But if I can
Mm-hmm.
directly correlate money being brought to the university from sports or athletic events, mainly football and basketball is what are the
Mainly
main
football and basketball.
athletic,
Those are the most
right,
main ones. Yep.
the main revenue drivers for sports
Mm-hmm.
in America, for college anyway. If I can directly correlate those to those events or these events that we're talking about with football and basketball, why should it really trickle outside of those programs or the athletic program in general? I think in the article,
Mm-hmm.
or in his interview, Dion was saying specifically it should stay within a football program. Uh,
Well,
that's
he did, yeah. But see, he did say the money should go to directly to the athletic department. He said since these
okay.
teams are out here getting their asses handed to them
Hmm.
on these weeks, why give the money to the whole school? He said he doesn't agree
Hmm.
with that. He said they should reap the benefits of the sacrifices that they're making. I just don't like what I'm seeing. So that's basically what he said. He said it should go to the athletic department as a whole because we all know, like you said, basketball and football are the main money grabbers for the athletic department. Your bowling
Hmm.
team ain't bringing in no bread. Your volleyball team ain't bringing in no bread. Your lacrosse team
Central
ain't
had a
really bringing
bowling
in no
team.
bread unless they like a yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, we had a bowling
Wake
team.
didn't even have a
We had a
bowling
bowling
team.
team.
Dang.
For real? Did y'all have a bowling? Did y'all have a bowling alley at y'all school?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I think we do, but I don't know.
Yeah, we had a whole
Yeah.
bowling alley on our campus, bro. But nah,
Oh
like
dang.
those smaller sports aren't bringing in the bread because you don't have
Not
to
at
pay for
all.
tickets. That you're not getting any money off of any revenue from apparel or merchandise.
Hmm.
So basketball and football is what's going to bring the money in. So I understand it staying in the athletic department because you can fund bowling, you can fund volleyball, you can fund lacrosse if
Hmm.
you bringing in these $1 million checks from football and basketball. But to give it to the debate team, like what? Like I don't agree with that part. You know what I'm saying? To fund the entire university, that's kind of crazy. But
So
on the flip side of that too, I do understand that a lot of these universities, like you said in the beginning, they set their budget on what these sports bring in as far as revenue. So I understand that too.
hmm yeah, yeah. So the question I was going to ask you is, um, if athletics doesn't help the university to build their buildings, their dormitories, their um, where the laboratories, the cafeterias, the essentials and
Mhm.
the extras that go on campus, where does that money come from?
It doesn't, that's another hard part about it too is that you need the athletic department to help fund the university. You do.
Yes.
You really do. And especially if you have a prestigious university, like when I was there, football brought in a lot of money for the school. We won
Hmm.
back-to-back CIAA championships. We won a national championship. We had seasons after that, after I left, that was really, really good. So the football team and the basketball team that year too, because the girls basketball team won the CIAA championship too.
Hmm.
Track won the CIAA championship. Volleyball won the CIAA championship. So we won a lot of championships in '06. So the athletic department does bring in a lot of money, winning championships and selling tickets and selling apparel and selling merchandise that that money does have to go somewhere else. We can't keep it just in the athletic department because they do
Mm-hmm.
have building funds. They do have repairs to do. They do have to just, make the necessary steps to make the university move forward and progress forward. So it is a hard conversation to have. I don't wholeheartedly agree with Prime with that statement, but there should be more of a percentage that does stay in the athletic department. I think. I
Mm.
believe.
Yeah, definitely. So
I believe that.
I, I agree with Prime's statement of there needs to be, and you said it earlier, there needs to be a minimum, or at least it needs to be a baseline for where the money games start at for HBCUs. If it's
Mm-hmm.
750,000, because I mean we're talking about inflation. You mentioned that you all received 500,000 in 2006 for
In
playing Florida
2006, the
in
07,
2006.
08, 07, 08.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so '07 in
Oh, '07,
'07
yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
playing Florida. Now we're talking about 2022. It should at least be a million now, right?
It should have went
750,
up, bro. That was,
right?
bro.
750 is the
Yeah,
minimum,
750K. Yeah,
And he said
it
it in
should
the
be the
interview,
minimum. It should be.
right? Right,
Yeah,
and he said it in the interview.
750K to a million should be the baseline. Yeah,
Yeah, and he said it
yeah. Go
in
ahead. I'm
his
sorry. I didn't
interview.
keep cutting y'all.
No, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
He said it in his interview that they can always negotiate up, but never negotiate down. So he said if we need to set the bar at a million, and you feel like you need more, we need to have people that negotiate to get that 1.4, like the App States, like the Marshalls. But at minimum, we need to get that million. I agree with that, but I'm also saying that the experience from the HBCUs in making those negotiations happen, and not just saying, well, this is what you should give us, and we hope that you give it to us, but you're not giving it to us, so we'll just take these peanuts. That experience of that negotiation needs to happen for those two, because we're talking about, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, but we're talking about somebody else doing for us rather than us doing for ourselves. We're asking
Mm-hmm.
basically for it seems like sometimes we're asking for handouts when it doesn't happen like that in the real world. Nobody's just gonna, just because you're a part of a group that is somewhat pleasant or whatever the case may be, you're part of a group that
Mm-hmm.
is can be seen as profitable. Nobody's gonna just give you $1 million. Nobody's just gonna give
Exactly.
you funding to start your business. You have to go out and do those interviews. You have to go out and do those pitch decks for those investors. Same thing with HBCUs. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to make it like it's a business, but at the end of the day, it is a business.
It is
um,
though. It is a business. 100% it is.
PWIs, while they do have more money than HBCUs, they don't want to give it up. And HBCUs, while it's not all HBCUs are struggling, but
Mm-hmm.
while most of them do struggle at times, they still have to learn the negotiation tactics. What I'm saying, and I know that's going to come off seem as pessimistic and harsh, but it is what it is. I think it's a little bit of give
Mm-hmm.
and take. Like the PWIs have to understand HBCU situations, and HBCUs have to demand more of themselves and also from the
Mm-hmm.
PWIs in order to have these money games.
And they definitely do. And just like we were saying earlier, he said, just like just to your point, he said, always negotiate up but not down. And to the point that I made earlier, if NCCU is asking for a million and Winston-Salem State is asking for 450K, we need to have everybody as a collective on the same playing field with the
Hmm.
same mindset to say, they're not going to run over us no more. They're not
Hmm.
going to come out and give us these, like you said, these peanuts to beat us up and get a momentum going within their season. All these Power Five schools, and only give us $300,000 to play these games. Just like you said, fucking come on, man. Like you can't give FAMU 450K to go be beat up 59-24 by North Carolina. Whenever
Hmm.
North Carolina can give them that money, but Marshall got a 1.5. That's 1.25. That's crazy. So
Yeah,
like
that's
everybody,
crazy.
when all the schools need to come together as a collective and say, hey, this is where we're starting our baseline. If they
Hmm.
come to us and ask us to play these games, we starting our baseline at 750. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
negotiate from there. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that way everybody is able to reap the benefits of these games, these money games, so to speak. So and that in turn helps everybody. You know what I'm saying? The Power
Hmm.
Fives got the bread. They can pay it, and in turn that helps the HBCUs and these smaller colleges build their universities and build their athletic departments and build all of these things that they need to build to make their universities more appealing to people outside the athletic department, to
Yeah.
get more enrollment and stuff like that. So it helps, it 100% helps everybody if everybody gets on the same page
So
with it. So I want to see it happen.
yeah, so I think you hate to look at the obvious factors of why there's the discrepancy, but you can't help but look there. So I won't go there. I won't go there. But I will say, I w-
We don't need to bring. I hope you're not talking about the R word, are you?
yeah, yeah, you know I was about to,
Oh,
but
okay. Well,
I'm
yeah,
not
cool,
going
cool,
there.
cool.
What I'll
Okay.
say is to rebuttal your comment about you hope that it gets to a sense of equality and equity amongst
Hmm.
everybody is business always comes up in our conversation for whatever reason, but
It always
it's a
does. Yeah, it does.
it's
It
a
does.
business,
It
regardless of
is.
how we want it to be. Institutions and universities are just as much in competition with each other as Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, so on and so forth. So
Hmm.
that's why I said the HBCUs also have to learn those negotiation skills, because as much as we want those dollars to flow to HBCUs as much as they do PWIs are not going to let those dollars go, because in the end, it's more dollars they can keep. They're not being taxed on it, for one, but the more dollars that they can keep
Right.
and build up the infrastructures of their school will get more. We'll also probably talk about this down the line too, if that is still
Hmm.
going to be a model of people actually going to college and paying for it, or even going to the schools in person. But that's neither here nor there. They want to keep those dollars so that they can continue to build up the infrastructures to attract those people to their institutions, their universities. And the more money
Right.
that they can keep out of HBCU's hands, and just as an example, or smaller PWIs
Hmm.
as well. And the more that they can keep their prestige of who they are as an institution is a win-win for them. I can still
It
play.
really is.
I can still play conference games outside of my conference, play smaller schools, give
Hmm.
them a little bit of money, or to them it's a little bit of money. $1 million
To them,
for
it's
a
a little bit.
university
Yeah.
is like a drop of a hat, but I can give them a
Hmm.
little bit of money, beat up on them in most cases, still be ranked in the national spotlight for universities and sports, and it's just a win-win. So while we want it to be equitable across the table, PWIs and HBCUs, I don't see that happening. What I'm
I
saying
don't
is
either.
I don't freely see these PWIs just saying, yeah, we agree to pay everybody the same amount, because then it goes to a marketing ploy too. So
It does. Let me ask you this question too, before we head to the next topic. So we talked earlier about how Prime is starting to get these higher caliber recruits to come to his school and things like that. These games give these smaller colleges a lot of exposure because usually they're on most times local TV if they're
mhm,
playing in your area, but sometimes they're on national television and they're giving these schools a lot of national exposure, which will
mhm.
help these universities get these bigger time prospects and recruits to come to their schools. And if they're getting paid more from these Power Five schools, that would help. So, what I think it is, do you think it's more of a power struggle from these Power Five schools because they want to be able to pay these schools less, beat up on these schools in that same token, to where when they're seen on TV and these 5-star recruits and these 4-star recruits see Alabama beating up on uh, NCA&T. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Damn, I don't want to go to A&T now. I know that's a black college, and I'm a black athlete, but
Mhm.
I would much rather go play for Alabama because they just beat the brakes off of A&T. Do you think it's more of a power struggle? You don't think it's like that?
No,
Because that's what I'm kind of
nah,
seeing. Like, it's no, okay. What
I
you
don't
think?
think so. The reason I don't think it's a power struggle is because it's essentially it's always going to be an arms race for those that have, and a catch up,
Hmm.
a try and catch up, but never do for those that have not. And so for these
Hmm.
Power Five schools, if you're in tune with college sports, you see year in and year out, XYZ University just built an indoor facility that's worth $7 million or whatever the case may be. XYZ just added
Mm-hmm,
on to the
mm-hmm.
stadium that was worth another 25, $30 million. XYZ just paid their coach a sum of $10 million a year. So
Yeah,
it's always going to be an arms race between these individuals that have, which are the Power Five conferences right now. And I believe like the SEC is
that
about to
have
sign
not.
a major contract that will. They already make like 35 to $40 million a year just from their television deals with ESPN. I think it's going to up
Mm-hmm,
to like
mm-hmm.
$50 million. So it's always going to be an arms race between them. It's I don't really think they factor in the smaller schools as being a power struggle. They may one or two that has a lot of notoriety. They may try to welcome into their conference so that they can now
Mm-hmm.
partake in the dollars that are being shared. But when it comes
Right.
to the decision of a recruit of where they want to go to school, I don't think in their mind until this year when Travis Hunter decided to go to Jackson State, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think in their mind it's
Right.
like, well, we have to worry about losing recruits to these HBCUs because we have more than they do. And
Yeah.
you know, and you know, they won't be able to be a recruit won't be able to be taken care of like they have like we can
As
take care of them at this school as a
mhm.
HBCU. So
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because with the amount of headway and the amount of traction that Coach Prime is making with getting these higher caliber recruits, maybe the Power Five schools, the Alabamas or the Floridas or the LSU's of the world are kind of like, oh snap, Coach Prime making some moves and he getting these 5 and 4 star recruits that we could have gotten had it not been for the power that he has within his personality and the who he is as a person. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
and
So, and shoot, I mean, I would love to play for Coach Prime. You know what I'm saying? If I had, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and I wasn't no 5 star recruit or nothing like that, but I would love to go play for Jackson State and Coach Prime just because of the love he has for his players and his organization and his football team is second to none, dude. So maybe
for
that's
sure.
that's just all I was thinking about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also a great time to be a part of HBCU sports in general, football especially. You have
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, coaching at Jackson State. You have Eddie George as the head coach at Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
State. Those are two Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Famers in itself.
Hall of Famers.
The as I mentioned earlier, I said Deion or Coach Prime is single handedly bringing HBU sports into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's just because now you're hearing more so of these top level college recruits talking about going to a HBCU or at least going on a visit, which was unheard of when
Right.
we were being recruited. Like it's like, okay, yeah, I can go there anytime. I want to go to the Alabamas, the USC's, the Ohio States, and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's
Mm-hmm.
more so, yeah, I'm going to take one of my 5 official visits to whatever HBCU, insert whatever HBCU that is in at the time. So
Right.
it's a great time to be a part of HBCU sports, especially because they have these high of caliber
Mm-hmm.
coaches on the sidelines. And I think Mo Williams is like the coach at Jackson State too for basketball. So I
Mo
mean,
might be. I haven't heard it. Yeah.
it's just a lot of high caliber profile names that you've heard of that were decent in professional sports that are now a part of HBCUs. And what better time to be
Wasn't
a part of
wasn't
it?
Penny Hardaway coaching was it Tennessee State basketball?
Nah, he's at or maybe before he got to Memphis, but he's at Memphis right now.
Memphis. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Memphis. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yep.
But
So look,
I
man, people doing their thing these days, man. The HBCUs have when I was playing ball when I was in school, HBCUs have always been highly touted as a really good atmosphere to play in, and just having that
mhm.
experience in opposed to going to a PWI. But like you said, now, man, with all the big names that are joining programs and coaching and things like that, like you said, man, it's a really good time to be at a HBCU for sure. If you're an
Yep,
athlete, it's definitely a good time to be at a HBCU.
yep. And I'll finish it off this segment by saying ultimately I think it's a give and take for the PWIs and the HBCUs. the
Hmm.
PWIs have to at least give more than what they have been given, or at least be willing to give more than what they have been given. And the HBCUs have to stand up and demand more of when it comes to these money games, because it's unfair
For sure.
to tell a FAMU that I'll give you $450,000 to come play me, but oh, you also have to you have to pay for your band to come do the halftime show, which everybody all that's where anybody that's going to a HBCU, the band and the halftime show is the main event in most
One of the
cases.
main reasons. One of the main reasons
So
people are going. Hell yeah.
PWIs are expecting you to bring your band, and you're gonna tell me I have to pay out of what you giving me to send the band, who probably has more members of the football team than
Way more.
we
Way
have.
more.
It's gonna
Probably
be
double the
way
amount.
more to pay. Yeah, so it's a little bit of give and
Yeah.
take. Put it that way. Just
It
leave it
is.
at
It is definitely some give and take. You absolutely right on that, bro. Absolutely right on that.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so we're moving on. Moving on. Next
Moving on to
topic.
the next topic.
I'm interested to hear what your take is on this. Is another BLM leader is being alleged to take money from the Black Lives Matter organization.
So we came from talking about Coach Prime saying people should give money to motherfuckers actually taking money from people. Like, and it's crazy because it's like BLM at the height of all of the police brutality cases going on about a decade or so ago now at this point, especially on the rise from the George Floyd situation. BLM, Black Lives Matter, was on the rise, and they were everywhere, bro, everywhere, trying to
Mm-hmm.
bring awareness to police brutality, and things of that nature amongst the Black community. And it was a big thing because people were thinking that they were actually, which they did some good things, but people were
Mm-hmm.
actually thinking that they were actually bringing awareness and actually using this money to fund different things in the Black community and help ultimately bring awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, it comes to everybody's attention now that a couple of the leaders in the organization are literally stealing millions and millions and millions of dollars, of donation dollars from people that probably don't even have it to give
Mm-hmm.
to this organization. They're using it for their own personal piggy bank. And it's like, bro, like the dude, his name Mr. Bowers. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Shalamia
Yeah, I
Bowers.
think that.
Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce his name?
yeah, you're close. Not no disrespect to him, but you're close.
Right, no, for sure. No disrespect to him. But say that he defrauded the chapters for unjust enrichment and using the funds for his own personal enrichment. And it's like the just in the last 2 years off of George Floyd's death, just in the last couple of years, they raised $90 million.
Mm-hmm.
$90 million in donations. And he siphoned 10 million of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. He's been
Yeah.
calling all kinds of things, man, like a rogue administrator and middleman turned unjust, and it's kind of crazy, bro. I don't understand how you can instead of using it in the community to actually do what you're supposed to do with this money, and you're a nonprofit organization, so you're not for profit, so you have to spend the money that you actually bring in. So if you bring in
Mm-hmm.
10 bands, you got to spend 10 bands. You're nonprofit.
Right.
So, but instead of using it to uplift the community and bring awareness, you're out here spending it on yourself, man. What you think about it, bro?
So for me, in the last 5 years, 4 to 5 years, it
Mm-hmm.
seems like every year is some leader of BLM that has taken money or done
Mm-hmm.
something that's disparaging or discouraging of people to continue to give them
Mm-hmm.
money. Um, I think what I read was he was a member. He just got appointed to that position maybe three
He
months
did.
ago,
He did.
and
Mm-hmm.
the during that time when he was appointed, it was the ordeal where old girl, I didn't look her name up,
Patrice
but
Colors.
she
Patrice Colors.
was, yes, yeah, if we're talking about the same person, she was
Mm-hmm.
in the spotlight for buying up to $6 million worth of property across California.
More than that. More than
Okay.
that. More than
Okay.
that. One house was $6 million.
Oh,
So
okay.
the $6 million home, which was in Beverly Hills,
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to pass it off as the headquarters, right?
Okay.
Because she was saying things. She went on. She actually went on. She did a news interview and she said that the house had a sound stage, the house had a theater room, the house had the house was supposed to be it had an area a separate wing of the house that could be used for social media content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it had parking for up to 30 cars.
Okay.
So she was trying to pass this compound off as a the headquarters for BLM in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, bro. So they ended up that $1 $6 million crib was supposed to be the headquarters. They
Okay.
had three other homes in LA totaling $3 million, and then bought a fourth home in Conyers, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
for $550,000. So they were buying houses, just buying cribs
Okay.
because they were. But what she said was, let me see if I can find it in my notes. What she was saying was, is that she decided to invest the money from BLM into her own black family members.
Okay. Were they involved with Black Lives Matter as well?
No, they were not. The
No,
only
no
one that was
affiliation
involved,
whatsoever.
no affiliation whatsoever.
Okay. All right.
So she said that she has a mother that she takes care of.
Mm-hmm.
She said she had a brother that suffers from mental illness that she also takes care of.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking money from people who probably have these same situations going on.
Yep.
You might
Yep.
have had a mother in Detroit, don't even have water,
Mm-hmm.
but they're donating their hard-earned money that they go to work 40 hours a week for to donate to BLM, which they thought was a really good cause to donate to, which it was,
Mm-hmm.
or most likely still is until all of
It
this goes
is.
on.
No, it
But
is. Yeah.
so they're donating their hard-earned money that they slaved every day during the week for 40 hours a week during the week for it, and giving you their money. They probably have the same situation where they take care of their mother. Somebody
Yep.
might have a situation where they have a brother that has a mental illness or a sister that has a mental illness, something that they're taking care of as well. You're bringing in millions and millions of dollars from
Mm-hmm.
people who work for this bread, and you're using it on your own personal situations.
Yeah, and that's
That's
where.
crazy, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the anger comes in, because as you mentioned, you have people. We talked about those that have not in the last segment. Same situation here. You have those
Hmm.
that I won't say have not, but they're close to have not. And because of all of the unfortunate incidents that have happened across our country with police brutality and the unjust treatment of black people, and I'll include people of color as well. But the Black Lives Matter is specifically for black people. They are looking to, all those around the country are looking to pull their money into one specific place to get things done. I want to be clear.
Hmm.
I don't have any issue with individuals that are a part of a organization getting some type of compensation for their work, for their
For
brain
sure.
power, for the energy that they're putting in. I don't have any issue with that. I have an issue with you taking advantage of a situation where there is, so in the Black Lives Matter instance, it's a quote unquote decentralized organization, which means they don't
Hmm.
have a person that they can exactly point to and say, that is our leader, that is our CEO, that is our director, that is the person that makes
Hmm.
all the decisions that funnel down to how it actually gets executed. So because of that, there is no one place where the decisions go, or somebody can be say that this person is accountable for whatever happens. And
Hmm.
I have an issue when people take advantage of that situation, because out of the goodness of the hearts of all the individuals that have contributed to Black Lives Matter, you have one or two, maybe three individuals that decide that they want to take it upon themselves to put money into their own pockets when it could have been spent on changing some political laws or policies. I'm sorry, some policies that are in place that benefits Black people, or it could have helped to hire a lawyer that could have gotten a particular individual off of whatever bogus charge that they have, and now they have to spend
Hmm.
numerous amount of years in jail for reasons that are unknown or unfairly passed down to them because of the color of their skin. I have
Hmm.
an issue with that. Again, I want to be clear. I don't have an issue with the people that are getting money that are a part of organizations such as Black Lives Matter. Um, but when you take advantage of a situation and pocket more money than you're supposed to, that's where I have an issue with. I'll also
For
say
sure.
this. I'll also say this. I don't and have never given money to national chapters, Red Cross, none of that. Black Lives Matter. I've never done that. I don't know about you, Sticks, but I've never done that. And it's simply for the fact of I don't know where those national what the money is going, what it's for. Um,
Hmm.
even sometimes with local chapters, I'm reluctant to give money. But if I can actually talk to somebody, I'll put it this way: I give more of my time and energy than actual dollars out of my pocket to these local organizations that I care about, that are in line with my visions and my goals and values as a person. I give more of my
Hmm.
time. But if I can sit down and have a conversation with you and I truly believe in what you're trying to do, whether if I give you money or not and you take advantage of that, I actually had a conversation with, so that makes me feel like a fool.
Hmm.
Because I just got
Yeah.
sold. Put it that way. I got sold. But if I'm sending my money to you and I don't really know what you do, which is I think a lot of people that do give to Black Lives Matter, and I hope
Hmm.
this doesn't sound bad, but that do give money to Black Lives Matter, they don't truly know what that organization is doing with the money.
Right. I
So
don't think nobody does. I just think that when they hear, I think they hear most people hear Black Lives Matter and they think, oh, well, they're automatically, they're
triggered.
fighting for equality within the Black
Exactly.
community, and but that's all they know.
Right.
That's all they know. They don't ask any questions about, is this money going to interurban schools and helping them have free lunches or having
Right.
books, or is this money going to house to fund housing for some of the homeless community that we have in some of these cities like Seattle. Of
Hmm.
course, Seattle has a crazy homeless population, but that's neither here nor
It's
there.
growing everywhere.
But
Yeah.
is I'm telling you, man. So is this money going to help an actual cause? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And that's what a lot of people have an issue with, is that you're not doing what you set out to do. You're not doing what your mission statement actually says to do.
Hmm.
Bringing equality to the Black community and awareness to police brutality. That is your mission statement, and that's not what you're doing.
That's not
And
what
like
you're
you said,
doing.
I don't have an issue. And just like you were saying, just to kind of piggyback off your point, people who are working for nonprofit organizations are giving their time and effort to these nonprofit organizations.
Because
So
they love
they're
it.
because they love it. But and just like you said, I don't mind them getting compensated for that.
Right.
But it was an interview. The same lady, Miss Colors, Miss Patrice Colors, she was asked in the interview, "Were you paid a salary for the work that you did for BLM?"
Hmm.
And she went on to say that she didn't get paid a salary, but she got what was the term she used? She got consulting dollars
Okay. The same thing with
for
the
doing
guy
what
in
she did.
question for now. He was a consultant for the Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter
Said that she got
organization.
consulting dollars. To be honest, all she had to do was say, "Yeah, I got a salary." That would have been
Right.
cool. Because
Right.
if she spent 40 hours a week working with BLM to help the cause and move the cause forward, you deserve to be compensated for that, especially if the organization is bringing in 90 million in the
Right.
past 2 years. You
Right.
deserve to get 40,000 a year or 50,000 a year out of that 90 mil. That's nothing to the organization. But the
Right.
rest of that money, the rest of that 90 mil needs to be put into the community. You don't need to be buying 11 and $15,000 worth of real estate because you want to help your family.
Million, you mean 15 million?
Million. Did I say what did I say?
You
Thousand?
said thousand.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, 11 to 15 million dollars in real estate to help your family because
Yeah,
you got a brother with a mental illness and a mother that doesn't work and she has disability. And nah, dog, that money needs to go
right,
back into the community and do what your mission statement says.
right.
You're
Yeah,
you're at this point you're a fraud, bro. And you made a mention. I'm gonna let you talk about this. You mentioned to me last night when we were talking about the topics is that now moving forward, other organizations like BLM are going to be painted with the same brush because of the fraud that they committed.
yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And it's not fair, bro. It's not
It's
fair.
not fair at all. And again, it's because not the whole Black Lives Matter organization, those individuals that are in it. I'm sure there are is still good people. Not I'm sure. I know that there are still good people in that organization that are holding true to the mission statement that the organization has put in place. But you have one or two bad apples that spoil it for the rest of the bunch. And not only the Black Lives Matter
Hmm.
bunch, now you have it spoiled for other Black organizations because it's already a stigma that Black people can't manage the money well, or you give them a little bit of power and they abuse it. Now,
Hmm.
moving forward, anything that shines a negative light on Black Lives Matter is going to continue to permeate through all other Black organizations and have a little bit of reluctance. I hope not, but this is just my thoughts, my opinions, that gives a little bit of reluctance to their supporters to be reluctant to give
Hmm.
money to them or even their time and energy. So it's unfortunate that this continues to happen, especially with Black Lives Matter, especially in the climate that we're in now with all the racial tension that's going on in America and really across the world, but especially in America. uh, I just hope that they get it together and that they can find trustworthy people that will do and uphold what they say they're going to do as far as their mission statement is concerned.
For sure, man, for sure. And another crazy part of this story was, and I know we talking about Patrice Colors a little bit more than we talked about Mister what was that boy name,
Bowers.
Mister Bowers.
Hmm.
But that's only because he of course he was siphoning money, but Miss Colors was doing a lot more. So there was a TikTok that surfaced earlier in the year where she
Hmm.
was saying that she was being harassed by a reporter at her home. Keyword home, right?
Hmm.
First of all, and this is talking about the $6 million compound that's in
Oh,
Beverly Hills.
that she said
So
was going to
initially,
be their
that she
headquarters.
said was used was the headquarters, but then the TikTok surfaced with her crying on TikTok that she was being harassed by a reporter at her home.
Hmm.
You know who that reporter was? You know who that reporter
Who,
was?
who was it?
Our good friend Candace Owen.
Oh, okay. Which we're going to talk about next
Candace
segment.
Owen
All right.
pulled up. We're gonna talk about her next segment, right? To just kind of going into it, but Candace Owen pulled up to the headquarters, the six
Mm.
million dollar house that was supposed to be the headquarters, and was just asking, hey, it's a gate outside this compound, and she just
Mm-hmm.
pushed the button to say, hey, can we please speak to someone who's who is with the organization? I want to ask some questions, about what's been circulating. She was being real nice and very, respectful to whoever was on the other side of that box that she pushed the button to talk to somebody. She was being real
Mm-hmm.
respectful. But Miss Colors is all on TikTok, crocodile teared out and crying, talking about she was harassed by
Mm-hmm.
Candace Owen, which there was nothing in this video that showed that Candace Owen was harassing her. She was like, we will kindly leave, but
Mm-hmm.
we're just trying to get some information. We're here, just doing a report for some things that's been circulating around BLM. You guys are a accredited, organization that's trying to help the Black community. We just want to, bring some awareness to the things that's been saying about you. Maybe you can disparage some of these thoughts and these
Mm-hmm.
opinions about you, what you've been doing with this money. And she said that she was being harassed, and it's crazy because people play the racism and the white supremacy and all of these cards that whenever they get caught doing something they're not supposed to do, then they have to defend their ass. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's racism. Now it's the white supremacy that's making us say these things. Now it's a whole bunch of different things that's going on because you got caught.
Right.
Because you
Yeah.
got caught. Saying we're falling victim to the circle logic and the social violence that fuels the legal system. What are you talking about, bro? You're stealing money.
Stealing money.
Makes no
Wrong is
sense
wrong.
that you're talking
Wrong
about it's
is
the
wrong.
legal system and social violence. Wrong is wrong. You're siphoning bread, bro, and you buying houses for your family instead of
Yeah.
putting it back into the community. That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with social violence and the legal system. That's you being stupid, and that's you being a fraud. Period.
Yeah. And so I feel
So
like as long
it's
as
crazy,
it's
bro.
a decentralized organization, as long as there's no hierarchy, things like this will continue to happen. Um, and until they bring in, I mean, and it's funny because we're going into a new era of technology and the web with Web3 and everything supposedly decentralized. And I'm saying that this organization doesn't need to be decentralized, but as long
Mm-hmm.
as it's decentralized, this stuff will
Facts.
continue to happen because there's no head to the body. There's no person that's in charge of making sure that their actions are scalable, making sure that we know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with this chapter and we know what's going on with that chapter, and it all funnels up to the top. And then once it gets to the top, then this is what the money's doing. Every chapter has something
Right.
different. So until it is joint together, I feel like we're going to continue to have these issues
These
with any
issues.
organizations
Yeah.
that's
Do you think
that's decentralized rather than just BLM.
now, facts? Do you think anybody would be held accountable for these? Do you think Mr. Bowers or Miss Colors will actually be held accountable for what they're doing with this money though?
I
Like,
don't
because I
know.
know it's an ongoing investigation right now with them, but I don't think so, bro. I think it's gonna be more so that they're not gonna be able to receive donations anymore. As far as you know, those two like parts of the organization.
Hmm.
Like you said, there's more moving parts. There's more, I can't think of the word I'm trying to use right now, but
More
there's more
chapters.
areas that BLM has chapters. There you go. There's more chapters in BLM than just what Miss Colors, which she actually stepped down, but she had no choice. And Mr. Bowers, that there's more chapters than just those two that they ran.
Hmm.
But it's going to be hard for BLM to continue to get donations because they're losing their credibility with the community. A lot of these different big time companies or organizations that want to donate. So I don't think they're going to be held accountable. It's just going to be very very hard. They're going to lose their ability to collect more money. But I don't think they're going to be held accountable, bro. I don't think
Yeah,
so. They're just going to have to step down, and all that, and not be able to collect money no more.
yeah. You said a mouthful
They
there.
should be held accountable.
They should be, but you did say a mouthful there. I think I looked up. I forgot what I was looking up, but it said shortly after the George Floyd murder, the Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter movement had a overall approval rate for all across the country, black, white, Hispanic, so on and so forth, of like almost 70%. And as stuff like this continues to come out, the approval rate is dwindling down amongst, again, everybody, black, white. Well, we already know how a large portion of white
Yeah.
America felt about BLM, but
Yeah.
with blacks especially is dwindling down, and also Hispanics. So again,
Yeah.
what I said earlier, they are only hurting not just their organization, these individuals within Black Lives Matter, but they're hurting other organizations, but especially Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, it's gonna take for a strong leader within that organization to step up and actually number one make a name for themselves to be able
Yeah.
to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Somebody's going to have that power and that gall within themselves to say, hey, we're going to change the narrative about BLM. Miss Colors, Mr. Bowers, they did what they did. Fuck them. We
Hmm.
gonna have to step up and start doing what this mission statement is supposed to do. And once they start doing that, then they'll get their credibility back. But as of right now, man, BLM is losing it. They're losing their
Yeah,
credibility, bro.
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right, and then we move on from the Black Lives Matter to the ongoing saga that is Kim K and Ray J sex tape. It's the year
Man, listen, man.
2022, and this came out in 2007, and we
In
still
2007.
talking about this. We're still talking about this.
Still talking about this
But
sex tape
let's
15
dive right
years
into
later.
it. Let's dive right into it, Sticks. What's your thoughts on this?
Man, so we are forced on a day to day basis to take in. and talk about the fakest family on the history of the planet. They are the
Okay.
fakest family on the history of the planet, bro. Along from Kylie and the ones that's actually doing something with themselves. Like she got the $1 billion cosmetic company. She doing
Mhm.
something. You know what I'm saying?
What?
But
Okay. Yeah.
well, go ahead. Go.
No. No.
Interject.
Yeah. So I I don't want to take away from Chloe, Courtney, and even Kim, the things that she's doing now. I don't want to do that
Take
because
what away
okay,
from them?
whoa, whoa,
Take what
whoa, whoa,
away?
whoa, 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 because I'm not defending them. I'm not defending them
Okay. I
at
got you. I
all.
got you. I
But
got you.
when you say Kylie and Kendall are actually doing
Mm-hmm.
something, the others are too. It's just the fact that all of this all of this fame and status and them having the ability to utilize or capitalize on all of that what they have comes from this sex tape. So I don't want to take that away from them. They very well may be the fakest family, as you said, in the
In the history
history of the planet.
of the
But
planet. Yeah.
they are they just capitalized on what we're talking about now. They capitalize on it, and I mean, and to a
They
degree,
did.
so did Kylie and
So
Kendall
did
because
Kylie and Kendall.
yeah,
I
because
agree. I
they were
agree.
a
I
part of
agree.
that show. So I just wanted to stop you there because yes, they do a lot, and it stems from the fame that they got from the Kim K, Ray J sex tape and Keeping Up with the Kardashians being
Mm-hmm.
on ETV
Mm-hmm.
for 20 years plus and so on. But they're not
Good
all
gracious.
fake. They're actually doing something. It's just how they got there is yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically how this all came about, if anybody out there doesn't know, is that a few weeks ago, there was an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where her Kim's son was playing Roblox.
That wasn't a few weeks ago.
How long ago was that?
That was like some months ago. It seems like it was a
Oh,
few weeks
April,
ago.
April. It was April.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah,
April.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
April.
yeah.
It was April. Okay, so back in April, there was an episode that aired of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kim K's son was playing Roblox on his iPad,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a picture of the Kim K crying face picture was on a game
Mm-hmm.
that was on Roblox, and it was a link to a leaked sex tape, another sex tape with her and Ray J.
Mm-hmm.
But she got all up in arms and tried to play victim with this whole thing because now her kids are old enough to know exactly what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And they're kind of using it for ratings on the show. And that's where Ray J got pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Ray J got pissed off because according to Ray J, won't no leak. According to Ray J, it was all planned the hell out, according to
Mm-hmm.
Ray J. You know what I'm saying? Like they had contracts and some more shit about how they was going to capitalize off of him beating the brakes off of Kim K.
Well, not beating the brake.
So,
Okay, well, yeah, you can't say beating the brakes off. Well, we know what you're trying to
but
say, but you
have
can't
you
say
have you seen it? Have you seen it?
no. So yes, I've seen it, but when you say beating the brakes off, it sounds like some physical, like not the sexual.
Well,
No, yeah,
we know what I'm talking
yeah,
about. We
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
sex
yeah,
tape.
yeah.
We
But I'm
know
just
what beating
saying
the brake. Okay,
because when you say beat the brakes, and it's like
clapping the
there
cheeks.
you go, thank you. Because when you say beating the brakes, people, I'm sure, and I
People
shouldn't
might
use
think,
this. Yeah, people think domestic violence.
yeah,
Yeah.
people think, yeah. I feel you. So people they wanted to monetize Ray J clapping her cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a whole contract out there where apparently this is out of Ray J's mouth. They both got 400K each
Mm,
for this sex tape.
okay.
Did you hear that part?
Yeah, I did. And you bring up the new show that they have, which is essentially the same show that they have. It's just on a different
It's
network.
essentially the same show.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts. Right.
And in the first show of the old Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I think the show now is called Kardashians. In the first show,
The Kardashians, yeah.
No, in the first show of Keeping Up with the Kardashians that was on E,
Mm-hmm.
she brings up the sex tape. We
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to now on the Kardashians, which streams on Hulu. She brings up the
Mm-hmm.
sex tape.
The sex tape.
So for me, I don't know what to believe. I don't know. I don't know whether to believe. Okay, no, put it this way. I believe Ray J just because
100%.
he has shown me the evidence. But
Mm-hmm.
for all we know, that could be fake too. He just has some papers drawn up to keep his side,
I got some.
bring him in the
Have you? I
clear.
got something about that, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I also don't know if this is are these just marketing ploys by the respective companies that own the rights to these TV shows to get more eyes on
Mm-hmm.
their television on the shows that the Kardashians are with,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll get deeper into it later. I don't know if this is just the mastermind orchestration by Chris, Kim's mom, to
Mm-hmm.
have everybody eat off of Kim, so to speak. So I'm just
That makes sense
like
because yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I believe Ray J, not to cut you off, but I feel like I believe Ray J just because
No, you
he's
good.
showing evidence of
Mm-hmm.
what we what most speculated but didn't really know for sure, just villainized Ray J. But so I want to
Mm-hmm.
believe Ray J, but it's just so much ingredients that into this nonsense that makes it ineditable uh, meal to eat. I just can't I can't fathom like what it's just a lot of nonsense, man.
It is a lot of nonsense, man, and it's like, and you might be right about that because Ray J keeps going on and on about how Chris Jenner was actually had this idea and kind of mastermind this whole thing. So it's not far fetched that she might have told Ray J like, "Hey, we gonna mention it if you want to get relevant again.
Right.
Talk shit."
You know what I'm
Type.
saying?
So
It's
it's not past the realm of possibility for sure.
yeah, because
It's not.
again, we're talking about the weird place that is Hollywood. And
Man, Holly weird, bro.
it is for me, I I try not to, even though I fall for it sometimes, I try not to just go with every story. I try to dig into it a little bit. And the more you read about this, the more it kind of is like, I believe this person, but then this little piece of evidence like goes against what they said. Because, and the reason I say that is
Mm-hmm.
because the actual person that got the contracts signed or got the contract together and leaked or distributed the tape was Vivid Entertainment.
Vivid. Yep.
And the
Mm-hmm.
owner,
Vivid
the
entertainment. Yep.
founder, and the owner said that this was one of the most difficult contracts to get done, which to me says that Kim and Chris wanted nothing to do with it. But if you look at, if you, well, because
Hmm.
if you tell me that this, if you tell me that I have two parties, one is orchestrating a deal or brokering, trying to broker the deal. The other is okay with it. He or she doesn't care what happens as long as they get some money. But and it gets leaked, quote unquote. But then some years down the line, the person that actually got to profit off of this sex tape more than anybody says, well, this was tough because this party didn't really want it to be released. That causes some confusion for me. So I
Well,
okay, yeah,
it's crazy. Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's crazy because if that's the case, so just going through a little bit more of the story, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, so she, from what Ray J is saying, is that Chris Jenner put this whole plan together to bolster Kim's career by leaking the sex tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a la what Paris Hilton did back in the day, which made her millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson had theirs leaked, which made them a lot of money, got them a reality TV show at one point. It didn't last long, but it was on TV for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But and just to go back to your point, I think that if it's true what Ray J is saying about Kris Jenner masterminding this whole thing, there's no way that Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian were not comfortable with this. I think Ray J was the one not comfortable with it because of how he's acting right now. Because he's like, well, now I have, because he even mentioned at one point that she signed his part of the contract.
Right. But
She signed his deliverables,
right.
whatever the hell that means. I
But
don't know.
what
So it's
I'm
like,
no,
go ahead.
all I'm saying is if the person if okay, I'm just gonna stop talking in circles. If the person if Steve, whatever his name is, Steve Hertz,
Steve. His name was Steve, but I don't know what his last name was, but his name was Steve for sure.
yeah, the founder of Vivid Films, if he's saying that it
Mm-hmm.
was tough and Kim didn't want it to be released and this made it like one of the hardest deals to get complete. Ray J bringing up these contracts is valid and makes
Mm-hmm.
me uh, want to believe him. I'm not saying I don't believe him, but it makes me want to believe him.
Mm-hmm.
But that little small piece of evidence that was said by the owner of Vivid Entertainment now brings more into question for me because like what? Come on. So
Yeah.
did she
Yeah.
broker this or did she not? Did she want this to happen or did she not? So that's where I'm torn. Question I have for you though is assuming
Mm-hmm.
Ray J is telling the truth and these allegations are true, does that
Mm-hmm.
change our perception and how we feel about Ray J now? Because you remember when this all came out, he was villainized. Oh, he wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to release this tape and do this and do that. And Kim didn't want it to happen. He did it against her will, all that and all this. And now it's like the shoe's on the other foot. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we feel about Ray J now? Because I mean,
Um,
you also gotta look at it this way before you get into it. He said, and sex tapes normally, typically, don't work out for the male how it works out for the
as much for
female,
the female,
right?
100%.
So he
Because
had to
most
sit.
times, whenever you looking at if we're looking at prawn, I'm
Yep,
gonna call it prawn.
yep.
If you're looking at prawn, you're looking at the prawn for the woman. Most times,
In
most people.
from
That's
the male's
it's man
perspective,
and
yeah.
women.
For a male's perspective,
Women too. I've spoken to women that look at that look at a lot of prawn for the woman too. Like the
okay,
woman has to be sexy for the prawn to be successful.
right.
Man,
Somebody of
not so much.
status.
As long as he kind of, you know what I'm saying, got a
Mm,
little something down there
yeah,
that can do something with it. He ain't got to be cute. The woman though, got to be cute
right.
at least. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? For it to be for people to most likely like stop and watch.
yeah.
So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so but you have to think about it. Do we change our mind about him because he sat and watched as his career, because he had a career before this. He is the
Mm-hmm.
brother of Brandy, who's a mega singer. He was on
Mm-hmm.
Moesha, which was his sister's
Mm-hmm.
show. He had all of this, and
Mm-hmm.
he kind of he was a singer himself, a rapper or whatever. He went back and forth, but
Mm-hmm.
he had all of that going for himself, and then he kind of tapered down a bit. It did a slight uptick, but then it went down more than it went up. Whereas Kim,
Mm-hmm.
her it just seemed like her stock just kept going up, 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 up to where
Kept
now,
rising. Kept
right,
rising.
to where now his net worth is said to be somewhere around 14 million. Her net worth is said to be somewhere around 1.8 billion. How do
Mm-hmm.
we so we that has to that's not that's not a fair trade, and for somebody like
Not
him
at all.
to sit back and not say anything about this being orchestrated by Chris this whole time while he's seeing the person on the same tape with him seeing their stock and their net worth go up and his not really nowhere near hers. That's like
Nowhere close.
his ego had to be eating at him like I got to say something. So
Mm-hmm.
is he, do we look at him as a good person now because he kind of upheld this lie, or do we feel sorry for him? Like how do we feel about Ray J now?
I mean, as far as Ray J goes, man, it's like I don't think anything's going to change as far as his status. I don't think it's going to
It's too
help
late for
him
that.
bring
Yeah.
in more bread. It's way too late for that. It's
Yeah.
15 years at this point, right?
Right.
His whole gripe with this whole situation is that they keep bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
and she keeps playing victim for ratings
And that's what
because
I'm
any,
saying.
you know what I'm saying? So she keeps playing victim and using it and making it seem like he's the bad guy in the situation and she was the victim when this whole time y'all mastermind this whole thing.
Right.
So stop playing victim and making it seem like I'm the guy that leaked it and I'm the one that wanted this to happen and now y'all are still, profiting off of my demise basically when your mama is the one that put it all together.
So
So nah, so
that's the
it
question I'm asking
yeah.
you, is knowing all of that information and assuming that it's true, do you feel differently, or does the public change their
No,
mind about Ray J?
no, I don't think so. I think it's more so like this is that's kind of it's not necessarily hard to say. I don't think the public changes their mind about Ray J. I think it helps people look into what's really good about the Kardashians. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because they literally, nobody knew who the fuck she was until this fucking sex tape came out.
Right.
15 years later, she's got brand deals. She's got a TV show. She's married, fucked, and had relationships with a bunch of different megastars to keep herself relevant, from the Chris Humphreys of the world to the Reggie Bushes of the world. Now you got Kanye, Pete Davidson. Like, she a dot. She's the most famous dot in
Right.
the history of, bro. The most famous and the most fake dot we've ever seen in our life. And it's
Okay.
like, why why do we keep her? Why are they still relevant? What do they do that makes us talk about them on a daily basis?
So
What? I don't know anybody who watches the show.
right.
I don't think you do. I don't think your wife does. I don't have any friends that watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't talk about them until they cause some kind of uproar in the mainstream media to make themselves relevant again.
Well, it's obviously somebody is watching that show because,
100%.
and I'll say
100%.
somebody, but I'm not going to say that.
No, don't
Somebody's
say that.
watching
Don't
that
say that. I know
show
what you're getting at
because
though.
somebody is watching that show because we have a lot of surgeries being done to look like
Look
what they
like Kim.
represent. We have
And Chloe.
mannerisms and talks or talk tracks or however you say it. We have that resembles them, where you elongate that last part of the sentence that you say, like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, just like that, right? Like you
Yes.
right. So apparently somebody is watching that show. You
True,
have
true, true.
it's yeah. I just
I mean,
don't.
yeah.
I just I kind of feel bad for Ray J now because as bad as that sounds, I kind of feel bad for
No,
Ray
it's
J.
it's not bad though. But go ahead. It's not bad that you feel bad for him. But go ahead though.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him because it's like he played his part to a T in this whole scenario, and he doesn't have what that family has, and he was villainized, and he didn't say anything this whole
Didn't
time
say nothing.
until they kept
Didn't
bringing it
say
up.
anything.
But then now on the
Mm-hmm.
flip side, as polarizing as Kim K and the Kardashians is, because you, like you mentioned, you don't know anybody that actually watches the show, but apparently somebody's watching their shows. So you have a population of the world now because it's streamed with Hulu. It's being streamed across the like in Britain and England and stuff now.
It's been
So
streaming everywhere. Yeah,
yeah,
facts.
so you have a population of individuals that love them, and then you have a population of individuals that hate them. You have a population of
Mm-hmm.
individuals that lust after them, and then you have a population of individuals that look at them like they are the plague.
They're some of the problems they're some of the they're the problem that is beauty standards that we have today. They are the problem. They're
Right,
some of the pioneers of the reasons why beauty standards are existing, for
right,
sure.
right.
But
So
it's like so it's like so let me ask you this. Okay, so just like you said, I don't know nobody who watches it. I don't watch it. Your family doesn't watch it. Nobody watches it. you don't hear about, okay, so let's go back a little bit. You don't
Mm-hmm.
hear about the Kardashians until, like I said, something happens in the media that brings them relevance. Like whenever the whole Black China and Rob thing was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Black China and Rob Kardashian was supposed to have their own show, and now Black China trying to sue the Kardashians for billions of dollars because the Kardashians wouldn't let them have their show.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got Pete Davidson in the mix, and she being a dot with him, and now she got relevance because Pete Davidson was the host of SNL, and she wanted to know what his man parts looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Kanye going off about his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Kanye going to get the last files of the sex tape from Ray J.
Right.
Then you got, so bro, it's you don't I don't watch the show. I don't care. I don't care about nothing they got going on. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear about them when they need some relevance and some kind of drama is going on. That's when you hear about the Kardashians, and it's annoying. Like, why did we talk about them?
Well,
Why?
I mean,
I don't understand.
you can ask, why are we talking about them
The
now?
best marketing family ever. The best
And,
marketing family ever.
and
They marketed that sex tape to a T, my
there you
nigga.
go. And so that leads into Kris Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
she the best marketer of all time? The best person to take shit and turn it into sugar? Is she that person? So
She might be. I mean, she might be, bro. I mean, because she literally masterminded this whole thing. And I guess we can talk about our good friend Candace Owen.
you keep saying our good
She
friend. We don't
said,
even know this woman.
well, listen, I listen, that's my good friend now because she done said some shit, boy. She came with all the smoke. She came with all the smoke saying that Kim K is a prostitute and Chris is a pimp.
Mm,
Yeah, damn.
yeah.
I
I
was like,
mean,
yo,
in
but
this case,
yeah,
I don't think she's far off from her statements
not at all.
because
Not at all.
they they apparently profited very well off of it. Um,
Very well.
Kim K continues to, in some aspects, use her body as a tool for payment or to receive payments. Chris, who is
Mhm.
her mother, is the ultimate. I mean, she's the ultimate that
Pimp.
extortioner.
That's a better word. That's a better word for it, for sure.
Extortioner, because she has not only got Kim to be who she is, but as we mentioned earlier, not Chloe. Courtney isn't as high profile as the rest of them, but she has profited
True.
off of it. Courtney has profited off
Mm-hmm.
of it with not
Mm-hmm.
only her money but her relationships. So has Courtney. Now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
Kendall
Yeah,
and
true. True.
Kylie.
True.
I'm not Kylie. Kendall may be the most original out of all of them, but she has
She
her
might be.
flaws as well, and
Mm-hmm.
they all have profited from Kim K and her sex tape, and then being on Keeping Up with the Kardashians for so long.
Yep. And it's crazy because another quote that Candace Owens said was that Kim K is a body without a soul, which is emblematic to the society we live in today. That if you're willing to degrade yourself, the society will give you more.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And
she said that was the price of fame, and that's what Kim K did. She sold her body for fame, and Chris let her do it.
and
Extorted her body for the money.
and how many individuals have or would have done the same thing?
Depending on the circumstances you in, man, there's probably a lot of people, mothers and daughters, that would probably do the same thing. It's happened. It's happened.
Mothers. Ah,
Remember, we were talking about this the other day. We never brought it up as far as a topic. Remember the iCarly situation.
yeah, you're right. Mm,
You see what I'm saying? The mother was telling the little girl that you should do this, and this is the closest to family you're gonna get. And they were extorting those kids and pretty much doing child prawn all
hmm.
over Nick at Night
Right.
or Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
feet pics and all the, you know what I'm saying? And the mother was literally telling the daughter, like, just do it. You're getting famous, you're getting the notoriety, you're doing this. And she kept it going. So it's happened. And it's probably more it's probably more cases of it around the world. And just like you said, in the last episode when we were talking about Tiffany Haddish, how many times have you heard, "I got the perfect situation for you,"
Right.
and the mother would be like, "Oh yeah, that is amazing. You should do that, baby," and they go
Right.
along with it.
Yeah.
And as much as they probably see it's fucked up, they see that money rolling and they keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So that's
I,
exactly what Chris did with her daughters,
I,
bro.
yeah, so when you bring that aspect into it, I guess you're right. I just don't feel like most decent mothers would orchestrate a prawn deal for their daughter. Look at
I don't
different.
not in that situation, but
Yeah,
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 you're right.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is what
Yeah,
I'm saying. But when you brought
yeah.
what the element into the whole scenario that you talked about earlier just now, I think you're right.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we'll see,
But
man. I think it's a sad situation.
it is,
It,
bro.
it worked out for the Kardashians, and now they're like a whole empire for their family, multiple billionaires or close to billionaires in their family. But the price that they paid to get it, mm,
Man, it's you know that how that old adage goes, money is the root of all evil, but that's not true, man. The love of
the
money
love of money is
is the
yeah,
root
yeah,
of all evil. The
yep,
love of money, man. People idolize. We should not idolize Hollywood, bro,
mm-hmm,
because a lot of those people have done some of these same things or went through back situations to get an Oscar, or you
right,
know what I'm saying, like just to have these opportunities to be on the main stage, man. And it's you know Hollywood, bro. Don't you just keep your all the parents out there, man. Don't keep your kids close, bro,
yeah,
and kind of monitor who they see as role models and who they idolize, because a lot of these people in Hollywood are not role models. They're
mm-hmm,
not role models. Shit, I don't even call myself a role model. I try to be a model citizen and be, and live and and show through experience, but just watch who you kids idolize, man, because a lot of these people out here ain't really role models, bro. They not.
yeah, man. So with that being said, I think we can wrap it up. I think it was an excellent
For sure.
show, my man. As
It was, man.
always, I'll say it to you again. I appreciate you. Love these conversations that we having, and that we have had.
Likewise, bro.
Hope we continue to have dig into different topics and give our takes, and that the people enjoy it. But on that note, we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.